That's been bullying him to go home. What are you doing? Okay.
Hello guys, my name is Ben Dappa, and today I'm going to be telling you why we need to push our school start times backwards. Now, picture this. You wake up at 5:45, the time your alarm goes off. Then you will go and complete your morning routine, being extremely exhausted, tired, and just majorly disoriented and unable to function properly. And an hour or 40 minutes later, you're expected to start your first period and understand calculus. Unfortunately, this is a nightmare many students, such as myself, go through every single day. And I'm sure many students would agree that it's not always the best. You don't always feel great, and 90% of the time you're tired and just not in a good mood. And I'm sure many parents are sick of seeing their students tired, exhausted, and just looking miserable. And on the teacher side, I'm sure you guys like to see your students being engaged with what you're teaching and don't appreciate when their heads are down or they're sleeping or they're exhausted and disengaged with what you're teaching because school start time is too early. Now, this cannot be fixed with this action. Now, this has been backed by science, and it said pushing the start time for school back will increase health and increase the mood and just boost the spirits of the students in terms making them better in school. Now, to begin with, puberty rewinds their internal clock, meaning it sets it to do for changes. Because during puberty, we know a lot of changes, a lot of which we cannot control, have no control over. And according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, teenagers are unable to go to bed before 11. Not because they don't want to, not because they're trying to stay up, but because it's chemistry and not a choice, is the way they're automatically programmed. Now, and according to the CDC, about 73% of students in high school walk around sleep deprived. That's about 3 out of every 4 people you know in high school, which is very alarming because according to science, we should at least have 8 to 10 hours of sleep, which compared to what is happening right now, especially if you can't go to bed before 11, school starts around 7:30, 7:40, or perhaps 8 o'clock, and you end up waking up at 6, so 5:45. A maximum, you're really only going to get about 6 hours of sleep maximum. Compared to the 8 to 10 hours you're supposed to get, that's like a 2 to 4 hour difference, which is very huge. And in my case, unacceptable. This is why I believe schools should push their beginning times further back. Now, in addition to that, sleep deprivation, especially having a long cycle of death at 365, ends up harming the body in so many ways because it's building bad habits. of being in a constant cycle of not enough sleep. It can lead to diabetes. It can cause heart problems, as well as make you sick out of nowhere. Yes, one day you're good and one day you're sick, all because of sleep deprivation, because it weakens your immune system. And on top of that, the mental side of it is what worries me most because we are in 2025, almost 2026, and the amount of mental health crises that are happening are insane, I'd say, especially among the youth. And one of the causes, leading causes, is sleep deprivation in school because it, sleep deprivation can increase anxiety, depression, as well as cause suicidal thoughts, which is something none of us wants. Looking at it from this angle, we are basically given a bunch of health issues for students to deal with later in the future. We're building bad habits of not sleeping, all because school has an early start time. And we're basically developing a bunch of mental illness that can easily be fixed with sleep in some cases. And next, students that are affected by sleep deprivation have a shorter attention span, meaning they're unable to focus as much as they want in school, although they try. They have poor memory, meaning less likely to remember what they were doing, as well as struggle with problem solving, which is required in every single subject or in class you take in high school. And this is all because of sleep deprivation, a continuous cycle of lack of sleep. And according to the AAA Foundation, about 100,000 crashes happen yearly. That is an alarming number. 100,000 crashes happen yearly. Now think about that. Now, think about all the high schoolers that drive to school exhausted every single day. Early in the morning too, during rush hour. It puts them at the highest risk of getting into a car crash. Not just that, look on the athletic side of things. Athletes plagued by sleep deprivation or early start time of school are more likely to be prone to injuries. A 60% chance of getting injured because of sleep deprivation, not because of school having early start times, are more discoordinated and are more likely to perform much worse than ones that had sleep. Now, this itself, it's a nightmare when everything can be fixed by sleep. And especially, one way for us to get more sleep is by pushing the time school begins further back. But I'm confident in this, not because I came up with it, not because it's something that I'm just on the edge on, but because it's happened and the results were amazing. For example, in Seattle, the public school, Seattle public schools, they pushed their time to 8:45, and the difference was tremendous. They saw an increase in academics, an increase in engagement in lessons from students, and a decrease in disciplinary actions because everyone was in a good mood and had a better day and less stress. Everything, or most things, can be fixed with sleep alone. And other schools that adopted this into their curriculum found success in it too. Now, I believe this is something we should start now because it will make the biggest difference.